Hey guys, it's Frank. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing my personal thoughts on quiet quitting and more specifically, your corporate job. I have noticed over the last 2 months this new buzzword on the internet known as quiet quitting. And a lot of people are talking about it on social media. In fact, I think I discovered it while late at night scrolling down on TikTok. You might be asking yourself at this point, what exactly is quiet quitting? And by my definition of it, it's basically working your 9-to-5 job, but not doing any sort of overtime or anything that would benefit the company, and you're there to only do your assigned task and responsibility between those hours of 9 to 5. A little bit about myself. I graduated school back in 2017, and I've been working in the corporate world for just over 5 years. And within those times, I also been laid off. So within those period of time, let's just say I've had my fair share of seeing quiet quitters, or, I kind of see both angles of it. So if I haven't bored you to death yet, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how it benefits the employees, how it may not be to the employees' advantage, how founders or managers don't like it, and lastly, what I've seen in the office so far from my experience. For legal reasons and because I'm holding a 9-to-5 job, I just want to say that I am not a quiet quitter. So with that said, guys, before we dive into the rest of this video, give this video a good old smash, and now let's begin. Starting off with the first one is how exactly does it benefit the employees? And I think my number one thing would probably just be employees' mental health. I would say quiet quitting really started to emerge the moment that employees were now working from home. And I think this had to do with just the fact that everyone was now working from home, had all this additional time to really think about what they want to do with the rest of their life. And with that came with their career and what they're doing in their career. And maybe not necessarily their work that they were doing was very meaningful for them. Like take me for example, although I wasn't really quiet quitting, I was laid off from my position on October of 2020 during the middle of the pandemic, and I was sent home and I actually moved over to Calgary. And I had a lot of time to really think about what I want to do or what I found very fun or impactful. And part of the reason why you're watching my YouTube videos is because I started to make videos for you guys, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel. And I would have to say that everyone was sitting at home really reflecting on what really mattered in life, whether that was friends, family, and they started really disconnecting themselves from work and started to say, like, why am I putting so much hours into my work when it's not yielding my expectations on salary, doing that extra work, working overtime, isn't really benefiting me. I've even highlighted in my past that part of your corporate job is to look for other line of work, because I always have said that putting more work and more time into your current position would usually not yield more money or a promotion. You have a better chance of applying elsewhere and getting everything you wanted. So overall, during the pandemic, I would say that a lot of employees start to reprioritize things in their life, putting family and friends on top of their work. Why is it not to the advantage of the employees? And I would probably have to say that it's not to the advantage of the employees because likely if you're quiet quitting really hard, you are likely going to be the first one out the door when it comes to cut seasons, or like if there's ever going to be a recession in the near future, you are probably going to be the first one out the door if you are quiet quitting just a little bit too hard.
You're fired! All right!
You know what? I totally get it. Maybe you don't want to work overtime. Maybe you don't want to do this extra project task or do these additional things that are beyond your work task. But I would have to say that sometimes doing things voluntarily sometimes looks good. Over the last 2 years, and probably including myself, we probably got too used to working from home. In fact, we're all demanding that
I want to work from home. I want to work from home. I want more raise.
Maybe we deserve it, maybe we don't deserve it. And although there are plenty benefits of quiet quitting, we kind of have to remind ourselves what we did earlier in our careers that really propelled us in the first place. And those were doing those extra mile tasks. Those were doing those involuntary things that would look good in front of your boss and getting that promotion in that company. You also kind of have to look at it from a team standpoint, is that if every single one of your teammates are also quiet quitting, then your team just isn't doing anything. If anything, you probably start feeling bad for your upper management or your company. So I can kind of see that, but that's me playing devil's advocate for some of the disadvantage of quiet quitting. Going into my third point, which is I can see how managers or founders or owners of a company may not like quiet quitters. In fact, maybe change that. They don't like quiet quitters at all. The other day, I stumbled upon this video by Kevin O'Leary, and he was talking about how if you are a quiet quitter, you are a loser. And in fact, you're not just a loser, you don't want to work for me because if you're a quiet quitter, you don't work for me. If you haven't seen a clip or you don't know what I'm talking about, here it is.
If you're a quiet quitter, you're a loser. You're un-American. This is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
People that shut down their laptop at 5, want that balance in life, want to go to the soccer game, 9 to 5 only, they don't work for me. I can tell you that.
Watching this video by Kevin O'Leary, it kind of just sounds like he wants everyone that's working under him to essentially have no life for him. There will be those same entrepreneurs or owners of a company that would kind of just be telling everyone that yeah, you can't be expecting your employees to be working just as hard as you because they don't have the same vision as you. So in a way, they're contradicting themselves because on one end, they're saying, if you're a quiet quitter, don't work for me. And then at the other end, they're kind of saying, well, my employees can't have the same vision as me. Or one person wants to make as much money paying them the least amount. And on the other end, someone wants to make the most money doing the least amount of work. Although at the end of the day, managers, founders may not enjoy it, I would have to say either you have to pay the employees a lot more money to compensate for the high rise in inflation, or likely people are going to be quiet quitting behind your back. That's just what I've seen. Point number 4 on quiet quitting is essentially what I've seen in the office of me working my 5 years in the corporate world. What have I seen in the office been going down? And I would have to say that, let's be honest, everyone is quiet quitting on some levels, at least in my generation, my age group. Like, I kid you not, I used to be working for a telecommunication company, and we would literally be asking ourselves, every single person that's in my age group, be asking yourself, hey, how do you like your work? How long do you see yourself in your current position? And I kid you not, most people, when I ask them how long do they plan to be in their job, usually they'll just be like, I'll probably stay here for 1, 2 years, maybe 3 years. And then I'm gonna be bouncing to go somewhere else, or at least be switching teams. It's sort of bad, but I remember asking my old colleagues and friends of mine, like, how long do they expect to be in their current roles? And a lot of times they'll be saying 2, 3 years, and it's almost not, I would say, kind of like frowned upon in a way where if they're planning to stay there for more than 5 years, or if they even been in the role for longer than like 3 years, it's almost like, why are you in that role for so long, as opposed to like, congratulations, you've been in that role for like that number of years. It's a question of why are you in that role still? So it's kind of interesting what I've seen in the office. I've always had friends in the past tell me about their work situation, tell me how they don't like it, they don't like their manager, they don't like what they do. And my recommendation that I always tell them is, why don't you just apply elsewhere? Because applying elsewhere probably will take a few months anyway, but at least you won't have kind of like this scarcity mindset. By developing more of an abundance mindset, applying elsewhere, having more options, you will kind of won't feel as trapped, and you won't fall in that kind of like that bad mood, I would say, because you have a lot of options. And so that's why I see when you're like kind of like quiet quitting and looking elsewhere, it could really help your mental health, like I've been saying before, because you have a lot more options. You don't basically have a limited amount of options. You have an infinite amount. You can be like, hey, my job kind of sucks, or I don't like my manager, I can go elsewhere, because that's very well what you have. You have so many different options. It's kind of interesting, when boomers or my parents were working, so basically when the dinosaur era was happening, a lot of people in their age group would work their job for like, their whole life. Like, they'll have one job for the rest of their life. And in this digital modern era, like, people only work people are only loyal to their companies for like a max 3 to 5 years, and then they're piecing out to the next opportunity. And is it necessarily wrong when you are making more money? It's kind of funny how the word quiet quitting is emerging over the last few weeks, when realistically it's been going on for the last few years. I'm a big believer of the majority and for the people, and it's about time where employees finally have more say than ever before in the workforce than you know, it just being one person just dictating it all. And remember, as a non-quiet quitter, my advice for anyone who would want to quiet quit is that not working too hard, but not being at the very bottom, because you'll be the first off the chopping block. And finding that sweet spot would be my non-recommendation for legal purposes. So anyhow, with that said, guys, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching and listening to my personal thoughts on quiet quitting. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I guess I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.